Starbridge Incorporated and moved to include a WXXI and Golisano Foundation initiative convened an important community conversation on ableism and inclusion with nationally recognized disability rights activist Imani Barber. The following panel discussion was moderated by J.D. Flores, a Rochester-based disability rights advocate, and included local community members who shared their own lived experiences of ableism. Please stay tuned after the broadcast for resources and information on how you can join the continuing conversation on inclusion and accessibility.
My name is Imani Barber, and as discussed, I am a disability rights and inclusion activist. A brief image description of myself tonight. I'm an African-American woman, plus size. I have a bob of dreadlocks, and I'm wearing a red and blue knit dress.
I'm Christina Eisenberg, and I am the Director of Employment Equity at Starbridge.
Good evening. I'm Tabby Anvari. I am the Managing Director of Fascian. It's a marketing company that does services for startups. And I'm more proudly the parent of an adult that I would like to call with very unique abilities. The state may have a label for it. I have just the privilege of walking along that learning process with her, and she is in her 30s, and this has been probably the most magnificent transformation of our lives, learning alongside her how to navigate.
Thank you. Carrie?
Hi, I'm Carrie Baker. I work for Strong Center for Developmental Disabilities at URMC. I wear a bunch of different hats there. I do some education and some training, actually lots of education and training for medical learners at all levels, so med students and residents. And I also direct something called the Family Experience, which I have the privilege of matching families in our community and people with disabilities to these medical learners to be able to share their experiences. It's kind of an hour in the day of a life. And I also have two daughters. They are 18 and 20, almost 21, and my almost 21-year-old has Down syndrome.
Thank you. The first question I like to start with, and I like to ask everyone this question is, how does ableism impact your daily life or that of your adult child's life? What does it look like? What does it feel like? And we can start with Imani and then trickle down to everyone else.
I think for me, ableism most presents itself in the inability to move as freely as I would like. I do drive. I do have a lot of access to transportation, but every single day when there's inclement weather, when there's a sidewalk turned up, it's difficult to get around. And then you also have the interpersonal interactions where people are saying out of pocket things and talking about how if they were you, they'd kill themselves, or if they had to live your life, they would never know how to exist. And a lot, like I said before, a lot of it reflects from history, like our history as disabled people. Also, in medical settings, doctors always look for the adult in the room when I'm the adult. And so, yeah, there's a myriad of different ways it manifests itself. But I think, most often, I think about the difficulty navigating space or the unknowns, and then also the ways in which people either try to speak over me or speak to me like my life is so extraordinary that it shouldn't actually be able to exist.
I think that's one of the most difficult parts for me, right? When people are like, oh, congratulations. And I'm like, for what? There was one time where me and my friends, we high-fived each other because we put on pants that morning. I was confused on where the congratulations came from. I didn't know. I had just facilitated a whole training, and it wasn't congratulations because I did that. It was congratulations because I was in the room, and I was like, oh, okay. But I also made this curriculum, bro. There was different levels to that. And I think most often for me, something that you said is the everyday occurrence, right, where people don't see it, don't feel it. So when I finally be like, oh no, you were being ableist and I blow up, people are like, oh no, it wasn't that serious. Yes, it was, because there was 15 other times that I didn't say nothing. Yeah. That this one time, Like it was just too much for me. And I think that shows up in restaurants. And particularly, I think it's really funny. I'm like the president to my family. Like I run them kind of. And my little brothers always have a hard time when people defer to them because they defer to me. So they're confused as like at the whole exchange because they're like, what's happening here? Right? So like, oh, what does she need? And they're like, what? It's a pause because they don't know, like that's not a question, that's not something that they're ready to answer. So I relate to you exactly how you're saying that.